But speaking of misinformation, the whole idea of the media is to provide information, and some people don't seem to get the information. In 2004, I believe it was 45% of Americans believed that we had found weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. We hadn't. But people believe this. I was like, where did you get that? Who told you we found weapons of mass destruction? That was like the whole news story of 2004 was, hey guys, turns out there's no weapons. It was a very big deal. And yet almost the majority of Americans, almost half of Americans thought that we'd found them. And then I saw this poll, which granted, I suppose I should know exactly where I found this poll, otherwise it's practically hearsay. Let's see, I believe I saw this in the movie Outfoxed, Rupert Murdoch's War on Journalism, which you would say, aha, is bias against Fox. Maybe. Maybe he's just reporting the truth. Try and look at the evidence. But then this poll, of people, things like the weapons of mass destruction thing, did we find them, did we not, and various other issues. And they also asked them, where do you normally get your news? And people who watch Fox, generally get these things wrong more often in the direction that the administration would like. People on Fox were more likely, not all of them, but they were just more likely to think that we had found weapons of mass destruction. We hadn't. And I don't think Fox ever just came out and said, we have found weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. But you kind of imply these things. You kind of, you have opinion shows or something, and a guy says, obviously we had to go to Iraq because it posed a significant danger. And by danger, everyone presumes he means weapons of mass destruction. And everyone presumes he means we must have found those weapons. Turns out we haven't. Things get really tricky with implications. Implying this and that, If you say, I don't know, I heard this phrase once, repeat a lie 1,000 times and it becomes the truth, What often is you repeat something which is probably false 1,000 times, and then when the truth comes out, you go, oh, I'm sorry, that one thing was false. And then hope that people didn't listen to that one, and instead the previous 1,000 things are weapons of mass destruction, weapons of mass destruction. Things are going well in Iraq, things are going well in Iraq, are just kind of rattling in your brain, and maybe you'll keep believing that, regardless of the evidence. But this, and obviously, I'm talking a lot about conservatives here. Make it very clear, I'm sure there are plenty of liberals completely biased towards liberal causes. And I think there are, certainly media outlets, I don't know when particularly, but there are things which are very liberal biased, just as Fox News has a very conservative bias. Me being generally more liberal, I call myself an independent, because there are several issues which I agree with on the conservative side. Abortion, for instance. I'm pro-life, which would make me not a liberal. At the same time, I am pro-gun control, which does make me a liberal, which makes some an independent. So I'm generally liberal as leanings. Yes, I guess I see the flaws in the conservative side more so. All these things. It gets complicated. I suppose at some point I'll do more of liberal flaws and stuff. But on the conservative side, I think Stephen Colbert said it best when he said, "Mr. President, don't pay attention to reality. Reality has a well-known liberal bias." It's so true. Sometimes when all the media outlets everywhere are reporting that, the Earth is round, maybe that's because the Earth is actually round. Just maybe. Just consider that fact. just consider that, People, I've seen all these reports on how the Iraq War is going badly and how it's been mismanaged and everything. People, no, it's all the liberal bias. The whole dang world outside of what I watch is biased. and only what I watch is trustworthy. Well, why? Can you prove to me why it's more trustworthy? Like, well, you know, because they're the only ones that tell me that things are going well in Iraq. Well, that's a circular argument. You would need to first prove that things are going well in Iraq. And to prove that, you're using your same media outlet. And well, you're going to need some evidence to back up that media outlet's conclusions. And if you have evidence, then great. We can look at some evidence, and we can weigh all the factors and say, okay, the evidence leads me to believe this, and said media outlet reports on that, so said media outlet is trustworthy, and therefore I can believe them when they say something else in the future. A lot of things aren't so trustworthy. You know, some people, on both sides of the political spectrum, some people, it's just like, you know, you could be like driving in a car and there's like a cliff, you know, there's this giant cliff, and it's like, you know, oh my gosh, stop the car, you know, there's a giant cliff there. Like, what, there's no giant cliff. What, yes there is, can't you see that? No, look here, look, see, I have a road map, alright? Yeah, well the road map says there's a bridge. We'll drive across the bridge. There's no bridge! There's a flipping cliff! No, there's a bridge. It says on the map. But there's no, can't you trust your own eyes? Eyes? Who trusts their eyes? Everyone knows that eyes have a very liberal bias. Ah! Except the guy probably wouldn't even scream as he goes off the cliff. He'd just be like, I'm driving on a bridge! Not just to rail against conservatives. I know, I keep going on that direction. I'm plenty of liberals on the other side. If someone would like to post a video response pointing out with evidence the things on the other side, you know, this would be great. You know, it's just, but it's a very tricky thing. And again, you know, you should be a little cautious in just saying, well, it must be the media. You know, the media has a bias. In whatever direction I say it has a bias. You know, because you end up just believing whatever you want to believe. You know? People completely ignoring reality because reality has a very great bias in whatever direction. It's dang confusing. So my solution of it is to get your stuff from multiple media, you know, very serious, and look at evidence directly whenever you can. And you know, if many different sources are all telling you something's going on, well then something's going on, isn't it? And in the meantime, you've got to be aware of the phantoms of the mind. You know, there's little vague ideas you have in your head that aren't founded on anything, but you kind of think in that direction. And it's like, wait a minute, and you kind of look at it and you realize there's nothing there. There's just a bias. Media. It is a very, very tricky thing. But hopefully, time goes by, we'll learn to see our own biases, which will give us better insight into everybody else's biases, and we'll start to come to some idea of what the real facts of the universe are. And then maybe we can get something done. But first, we gotta start talking to each other, and checking our sources, and checking our media outlets. And hopefully we can change the world. Thanks for watching. See you later.